Oh, hello, 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 hello. Right, anybody that knows me knows that I've been to the market. I've been taking some of my crafting stuff, things like the mugs and the bags that I've had printed, and some craft kits, and taken them to the local markets, and even to some local artisans' markets as well. And one of the things I do at the market is I get talking to people. Well, what else do the traders do, really? And I haven't seen people sort of say, "Well, what do you make?" I've had some strange stories about what people have made, especially shortly after lockdown. There were people who made all sorts of things. People who had made painted pots and things in the style of the roses used by the navigators on the canals in the in the 19th century. People who have people done all sorts of knitting and crochet and sewing and quilling and quilting. Now, if you don't know the difference between quilling and quilting, they sound the same, but they are quite different. Quilling is where you get short strip pieces of very narrow paper and you wrap them up in a sort of you curl them up into a shape, and then you stick and then you sort of adjust the spiral that you've created and then stick that onto the paper to make a picture. Whereas quilting is when you take pieces of fabric, cut them up, and then sew them up again in a different pattern. Of course, it doesn't seem to make sense when you say you cut it up and sew them together again, does it? But you cut them up into shapes, and then you make a pretty pattern with the shapes on there. That's the difference between quilting and quilling. So we've got other people have said, "Oh well, yes, I do." I mean, quilting. Another way, what term for use for quilting, of course, is patchwork on there. And people have told me that they've done the most amazing things. People, all sorts of things. And I've even when I've been round to the markets, I've seen people make some strange things. I was a wee bit surprised by the toilet roll holder that was made out of copper pipe and plumbing. Well, I could see how yeah, it made some sort of sense, but it was interesting. And if it's your sort of thing, well, go ahead and you can do some beautiful, it can do some beautiful things. Not quite to my taste, but hey, I'm not you. Um, and there's also say all sorts of things that people do, and I'd say that. But one of the other things I find when I ask people what they make is, oh well, I used to, but, and there's a variety of things that come in after that but. For some people, that but is, uh, but I've now made my hands are now made friends with Arthur, and it's too sore to knit. And if you don't know who Arthur is, ask anybody with arthritis, and Arthur is not a good friend. Arthur's not a nice person to have around because it makes you hurt. Yes, he's not nice, is Arthur. Well, arthritis is not nice. There probably is a nice Arthur watching. There could be a nice Arthur watching this. Um, in fact, actually, when I think about it, my car came from Arthur's Motors. So yeah, there are some good Arthurs around. But yeah, and it's sad when you see things like that because you know that there's something that they can do. There's things that they can do, but they've sort of got stuck somehow. They're not doing all that they can do when it comes to making things. And there are ways round of dealing with arthritis. I mean, the those who treat you say, well, actually, the best thing to do is to push your way through the pain, and then after a little while, when you've pushed your way through the pain and got things going, it'll be easier and it'll keep you supple and you won't seize up, and it will actually I think it's supposed to slow the progress of the problem. Yes, each to his own on that one, on there. But of course, you know, arthritis is a considerable deterrent to doing all sorts of things. For people walking and knitting and crocheting and using the hands for, just about anything you can think of, really. On there, sometimes all you want to do, all you want is a sort of a loving caress and help. The kiss and the cuddle better with your hands when they're that sore, isn't it? So that was one. It's one of the answers. All I used to do until it hurt too much, and then you start thinking, well, actually, if that hurts too much, have you tried doing something else? Have you tried using your hands in a different way? Have you tried a different craft or tried doing something else so that you can still do some crafting, but it doesn't hurt? And not everybody's willing to do that because they don't want to push through and find something different and make the change from what they were doing. Sad that. But one of the other answers I get, of course, is, oh, I don't have the time. And you see, I used to do when I wasn't working. And these days the times have got so hard. It's all hands on the pump in our house because the energy bills have got so high that I have to find a second job I have to find a second job, or I have to find a job as well. And we couldn't survive if I didn't go to work. And now I'm at work, I just don't have the time to sit and knit like I used to do. That is one of the sad realities of life. Although there are people that, as I've seen before in the stories of what happened in World War One, that people actually would go and take the knitting to work. They would actually, on a nice sunny day, if they had a park nearby, they would take their lunch and their knitting and sit in the park and knit. Although there again, not everybody has the ability to have the full hour lunch that used to be the time then. So often these, I don't know, and that it's a question of using those odd sort of half hours, 20 minutes to actually do something. And if you've got, some people actually have enough time in those 20-30 minutes to do some knitting and get things there, as if they're organized and if they're prepared. I just say, and the other thing is, people say, well, the young folks of today, they don't like it when you're being knitting out. I think I've heard that before. Where it says, well, the young folk of today don't like it. And I'm thinking, really? Are you sure? And I see people wearing some most beautiful crochet jackets and vests and cardigans and all sorts of things like that. And they're beautiful. But they say, oh, well, we don't like, the young folk of today don't like that. And maybe they don't like what you make, and maybe they need you to make what they want rather than what you want them to wear. Just thinking. And the other thing I've heard, and I've heard quite a few times, is I don't have a crafting bone in my body. There's no way that you could find something that I could do. Well, I've got just the answer to that on my stall. I have got some very simple packs that I put together when we're doing the safe haven things. So like the craft group for people with profound learning disabilities, and they are so easy. And I show people and I have a little picture which I've made. I've got one that looks absolutely spectacular. It's a white frame and it's a white whale on a teal background with a white frame, and it looks absolutely spectacular. I mean, you wouldn't believe how simple and how easy it is to make. It's literally draw around a wooden shape, cut the paper, get a piece of paper, draw around the wooden shape, then cut the shape of the whale out and stick the whale on the paper on there, and so say it's all in the choice of all in the choice of the colors. And if you've got the ability to cut out a piece of paper, the shape of a piece of paper, you can do the most amazing there. And when I say that, and people say that, I can't do crafting, and I show them that, they say, okay, you win. There is something here that I can do. There is something here that I can make that's simple enough for me. I've got them hook, line, and sinker on that one. That's why this is called everyone. That's why this is called Everyone Can Craft, because, yep, it's my belief that everyone can craft on there. And those are some of the things that I hear people say again and again and again. I wonder what if I could set up a group on a Sunday afternoon, that sort of dead time on the Sunday afternoon when there's not much else to do. Oh, occasionally there's something like the FA Cup final on the Sunday afternoon, or a football match. But be honest, I can't stand the football. My mum loves it. I think, ooh, football, that's not me at all. I'd rather go out and join in with folks and do some crafting on there. I would rather do that to be honest, and sit there in front of the goggle box and watch the football. Yeah, not my scene at all. But there again, I'm me, and I'm glad I'm me. I like me. I hope you like me. Anyway, I got this things about just thinking about this. And that's what I was thinking about with this idea with the broken pencils. You see, years ago, I used to run a support. I used to be a support worker. Quite a few years ago now, and I would do, and I was sort of like responsible for taking. Well, we did strange things like take people on holiday and day trips, and we ran a drop in, and we just sort of provided a general social atmosphere, especially, and we really excuse me, and we targeted people who had mental health issues. Well, that made sense for me because I was just sort of coming out of the idea of being a carer for somebody with mental health issues, and it just sort of that was why I got involved with that group as a volunteer to start off with, and then I did some paid work for them as well. And we also used to do the craft groups and do some crafting as there. And to be honest, it's amazing how we did that. We did things that weren't that complicated. I mean, you go to the bookshops and you look at the books for making crafts, and you look at them, and you think, I can't do that. It's too complicated. That's too hard. No, crafting doesn't have to be hard. Oh, fun, yes. Not hard. Yeah, yeah. Some of these fancy things they're so hard. I mean, I've got some books and I look at them. I think I know how to knit. I know how to crochet. I know how I can do some basic sewing. But I look at those and I'm thinking, I couldn't do that. It's too hard. It's not that. It's sort of pushing yourself too hard. If you try and push yourself too hard like that and try and do too much, it makes you feel as though you're useless, doesn't it? And oof, no, 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 not that. So, what I was thinking with these broken pencils is that we'd do a bit like we did with the drop-in for people with uh, mental health issues, and have some craft it and have some out use the community hall and the community hall, community centre, whatever you want to call it, and then have some tables set out, and we'd have some activities on the tables so that we could do various things. So I was thinking of putting out doing some paper craft, and just like doing flowers and things with the paper crafts, and making them make things that would not all female oriented. Do you know it's extraordinarily difficult being a woman not to do things that only suit women? Yeah, I really have to I do try, but I have to really put my thinking cap on hard, really hard, to do things that this is not just for me, not just that I like as a woman, but as a man would be comfortable doing as well. Because those funny creatures, those male things, they're quite different from us female things, aren't they? They do things differently. I mean, those guy things, when they do crafting and making things, they like making things out of wood and metal. I mean, we female things, well, we like doing things that are using fabric and yarn and paper and stuff. Hmm. Not that there's anything wrong with either way, but that's just how people sort of naturally seem to gravitate somehow on there. And it does make life interesting when things like that happen. But we'll see. And coming on to do some ideas. There's some things that are more suitable to men than they are to women. Where the world really. Um, and do you know what? From my perspective, it doesn't really matter. People are people. People are valuable. It doesn't matter whether it's the woman who's making the concrete pots or the man making the concrete pots or the woman doing the carving and the carving the stone and making the metal work, or and if you like to do it, good for you, and it suits you, good, and if it suits you, good for you. Let's just stick to what we enjoy and our strengths instead of trying to push people into places where they're not comfortable and they're not happy. And yeah, it's like putting a round peg into a square hole that leaves people extraordinarily uncomfortable. Just accept people as they are, sort of despite all of that lot. And if somebody's happy doing a female type craft, let them do it. If somebody's happy doing a male type craft, let them do it. I can't be bothered, to be honest. I can't be bothered to mess about. To just accept people as they are and let people go and let people be who they are. I mean, goodness me, we're talking about crafting, not about trying to trying to save the human race, aren't we? Really. But the idea of going back to the base to the broken pencils is to have some activities set out, things that would be attractive to men and things that would be attractive to women, and vice versa, and sort of that say that anybody could do, and then set those out in there, sort of like I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 different things on there, and have that people could try, and then try doing those different things and come up with there. And when I've seen, I mean, I've done this sort of thing before, and when I've seen what people are capable of doing, it has amazed me. um I suppose amazement is a good way of saying shocked, I suppose, isn't it? Well, I mean shocked in a good way, i.e. amazed. And it's amazing what you can do. Now, the thing is, I was wondering about, because I was going to do this on the Sunday afternoon. In fact, as I'm recording this, I'm going to have a go doing. I'm going to do the first one of these, doing it this way. I mean, today is Wednesday morning, and I was thinking about doing it on Sunday afternoon, this coming Sunday afternoon. Yeah, and do it that way. So my thing was on there. Yes, I've got to. I think, where's the people's going to come from? That was my first problem. Well, I've put some posters up and things around. I'll see who turns up on there. And I was just trying to tell people what it was like. So I was thinking, yes, I called it Broken Pencils. And if you look at the brokenpencils.org website, you'll see all the fancy text that I did for that. I was quite pleased with that, the way that turned out. That really gives the flavour of what I would like to see at the Broken Pencils. But you want to know exactly what it's about, don't you? Like I say, it's about having the opportunity of being there and making things sort of. The aim is to have 3 or 4 different tables with different activities on, that you can have a go and do just on the Sunday afternoon on there. And then I was thinking, Sunday afternoon, I wonder. There's all these kiddywinkles wandering around. I mean, they're thinking about all this there. And I thought, well, yeah. And I thought, oh, I know. I'd ask if the teenagers would bring the grown-ups with them. Not, yeah, I know. They're not necessarily, yeah, it's not necessarily cool to go out with a responsible adult. But you know what? I wonder if you fancy that. I wonder if Grandma might like it, or Granddad even. Well, if Granddad's not watching the football next week. But I wondered if Grandma might like it. Yeah, that would be a difference, wouldn't it? Be difference with mum turning up with you turning up with Grandma. Yeah, I mean, and I suppose, and sometimes Grandma's a bit cooler than mum, isn't she? I think she can be, because there's so much difference between you. It doesn't really. It sort of you seem to be so different in your ways of doing things. Yeah, it also means that you do something nice with Grandma, because you never know how long you're going to have Grandma with you, do you really? On there. So I was thinking, yeah, if you like the teenagers to bring a grown up with them. And as I was sort of thinking, well, I don't really think that it's necessarily the best of ideas making everything there. I mean, there's all sorts of things that are, some craft activities are purely targeted at kids. But of course, if you're thinking about Sunday afternoon, what are you going to do with them? I mean, if there isn't a responsible adult around with them, what do you do with them? I mean, you're not won't exactly be very. You can't exactly leave them in the house on their own, can you? Really, that's not the best of ideas. So it'll be a case of, well, yes, broken pencils is really for the grown-ups, but the teenagers can bring their own grown-up with them. And if the grown-ups have a younger one that they can't find anyone else to keep an eye on, they can bring those, so that we're still sort of looking at doing things for grown-ups, but I can't stop. That's where the focus is on the grown-ups. So teenagers can bring a grown-up and come, and if the grown-ups have a younger one that they can't cope, that they can't leave at home, they've got nobody appropriate to keep an eye on them for them, well, they can bring them as well. But primarily, the aim is the grown-ups. Now, what a grown-up is, don't ask me. I'm not always sure whether I am a grown-up myself, but yes, I'm thinking the average adult, not necessarily grown-up. I do wonder sometimes, because my mum says I'm not always grown up. Oh, I'm old enough to be a grandma myself, and my mum says I'm not grown up enough. Oh well, such is life. Now, I said, if you've got if you want to know what to bring for yourself, I came up with 2 ideas. If there's something you really want to get done, like you've got that bit of knitting that you're stuck with, or that bit of crochet you're stuck with, well, we'll probably put out put a few chairs around, so that if you really want to get on with do that and chat with that, you can do in the there. Not have a sort of like an area put aside for that. But the other thing that I'd love you to bring, and that is a £5. The idea being is, I don't get any funding for doing this. Doing the market stall is unlikely to make my fortune on there. So it's not so easy to just sort of there. So if you can contribute towards the running costs and sort of the hire of the hall and the materials, it would be appreciated on there. Oh, and you want to know where it is? Well, I'm recording this in a funny little place that sort of about 6 miles from Mold, about 8 miles from Wrexham, and about 10 miles from Chester. Now, if you know your geography, you'll know all those 3 places sort of like form a bit of a triangle, really. And I'm sort of pretty, so I'm in the midst of that triangle in a village called Penneforth, on there. And the idea is we use the community, what's now called Penneforth Youth and Community Centre, which is the old school, which is the school that dates back to the 1870s. So what I would call the Victorian school, and use that building in there, and sort of get together on the Sunday afternoon. I said if the room's booked from 2 till 5, so that gives us a bit of flexibility on the Sunday afternoon, and we can get together and we can do something. And we can do something there. We can actually get to know each other. And do you know, I've looked around Penneforth, and there's quite a few people. There's a lot of houses being built recently in the last couple of years, and and I don't know where all those people have come from. Some of them might have been moved from within the village. Some of them might have come in from outside, and there's probably about at least three groups of houses that have been built in the last 2 or 3 years. And it would be lovely for you to be able to come along, give you the chance of seeing what the community centre is like from the inside. Yes, it is ripe for well, it is. There are plans ahead for a change of management. Granted, plans. Yes, the plans are still going, but that's another story. So come along Sunday afternoon. If you don't want to watch the cup final, come along and have a look on there. But like I say, it might help if you don't know the area. I think it might help if I gave you the postcode, because that might help you find it on there. And let's see if I can find the sheet with the postcode on, because I've actually got it written down. The postcode is CH4 0JD. So that's Charlie Hotel 4 0 Juliet Delta. You got that? Charlie Hotel 4 0 Juliet Delta, or CH4 0JD. Right. So hopefully I'll see you on Sunday, and we'll see how it all works out. Because I'm taking a leap in the dark, and you know what? I'd love it if you come and join me, because I want some company, please. Right. See you Sunday. Bye.